Okay, we're just going to have a little discussion about how many guitars we actually need, because I've noticed recently over the last sort of decade that a lot of my friends have been accumulating far more pedals and amplifiers and guitars than they actually need. And it sort of takes me back to when I first was getting into guitar, and you had guitarists who I was into, like Peter Green. And they really just had one or two guitars, they had like an electric, a main electric guitar. So let's take Peter Green and Fleetwood Mac for a good example. So Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green had his Les Paul, 59 Les Paul, which now Kirk Hammett owns. And he had a Strat, but the Stratocaster was kind of used by the other members in the band. He had an acoustic guitar, like a classical guitar. And I think he had some kind of a slide guitar, maybe a National or something, but that was pretty much it. He didn't really have much else. And fast forward to now, Peter Green has got like a whole warehouse, a little lockup full of guitars, But back in the day, a lot of musicians really got used to their instruments. For example, like Rory Gallagher is case in point. They got really used to their guitars and played the hell out of that guitar, and it had all the knocks and dings from all the gigs. It's been through all the ups and downs, and the guitar really became played in. And I think that's kind of like lacking in today's players, where we're just sort of playing one. You get some players that play one song on one guitar, so if they're playing 20 songs in a concert, they need 20 guitars. I mean, it's pretty crazy stuff, and even Jimi Hendrix pretty much used one guitar all the concert, and he had a blues guitar, which he called his blues guitar, because for him Chicago blues was always played on a humbucker guitar. We're talking Freddie King here, Albert King, so he'd always have a Flying V or an SG or a Les Paul as his blues guitar, So let's get to non-professional musicians, and how many guitars do we really need? Well, I think it depends if you're a collector or not. But even if we're collecting, I've noticed that a lot of my friends spend a lot of time tinkering with gear, pedals, and getting new pedals in, selling pedals, and the focus shifts on actually playing your instrument and learning your instrument. It shifts to playing gear and what's the best tone and what's the best delay sound, rather than actually learning songs and learning to play the guitar. A lot of my friends are learning to use gear, learning to play gear, which is fine because you can do whatever you want. But in my personal opinion, I think that maybe less gear and less guitars is really the way to go. And so, I'll tell you about my own collection. Saying all this, I should only have one or two guitars, and I really wish I could only have one or two guitars, but for my sort of daily life as a musician, I need a few, so I need an acoustic, I need my main electrics, and then I need some quirky guitars that do different things. So even myself, I'm guilty of playing too many guitars, and I kind of want to get rid of a lot of guitars and kind of have like maybe 3 or 4 great guitars, but I can't because I can't sell them, so I'm kind of chained to my other guitars. But I'm not as bad as some people that I know who have like 20 guitars, and some of them get dusty. So I think the rule is, if the guitar's not earning its keep, sell it, get rid of it. You don't need it. A guitar has to be a tool, it has to have music played on it. If it's just an heirloom or something like that, then fair enough. But if you've just got a guitar and it's just sitting in a case doing nothing, or just sitting in a stand and you're never picking it up, then just sell that guitar, move it on, and concentrate on guitars that you actually really enjoy playing, that are easy to play for you, and that make you want to play. You want to get out and play the guitar and learn something. That's much more important. And your partner's going to thank you for that, because you're going to be spending less money, and your attention then is going to be more focused onto the music. And so this is what I want to tell guitar players is I play with a lot of other musicians, a lot of different, classical musicians. I work with them, I teach with them. I teach on a Saturday at Guildhall, and I work with some classical musicians, and they predominantly have like one or two bassoons. A bassoon costs 10,000 quid, and they don't have 10 different bassoons. These are musicians that play in the London Symphony Orchestra, and they have one or two instruments, and that's it. So guitar players, we're no different. We should only have what we need to do the job, and that's it really. And like I said, I'm guilty myself. That's why I'm making this video. It's kind of self analysis, if you want. But I think getting your collection down, and like I said, if I come back to friends that are musicians, professional musicians, they only have one or two, and they kind of think it's strange that us guitarists need to accumulate all this equipment. So yeah, that's what I'm saying is basically, try to get your collection down, try to shift your focus from the pedals and the gizmos and all that stuff, which we really love, and there's nothing better. Try to focus on the music, try to learn something new on your instrument, try to play your instrument, and rather than fiddling with pedals and always trying to seek this tone from a certain pedal, because really the tone is in your fingertips. And yeah, gear is great, and but you might have a Boss DS1, if that's all you had, if that's all we had, you'd still get some amazing tones out of it. Even if you're trying to play blues, it's a distortion pedal. But I'm sure if that's all we had to play blues or jazz on, we'd still get it sound good. So you can get any piece of gear pretty much to sound like you want it. So that's just something to bear in mind. You don't need all this equipment. Just have that rule: if you're not using it, get rid of it. Let somebody else have it. Don't try and accumulate, hoard. Don't try to hoard stuff. Because it can actually be detrimental to your learning. Your focus is going to be on this equipment, and it's not going to be on learning and practicing. That's the main thing, is learning new songs, learning new techniques, learning licks, transcribing music. That should be what's exciting to you as a musician, not what's the next guitar you're going to buy. And you're spending so much time selling gear and buying it that you're not actually practicing. You don't have time to practice because you're always on eBay checking stuff out. And like I said, I'm guilty as charged more than anyone. But I try to have that rule: if I'm not going to use a piece of equipment, if I'm not using it, if I'm not playing it, then it's out the door. It's gone. And then I've got more space in my life. I've got more money. I've got less distractions. So hopefully that's like a little bit of my opinion about this whole collecting gear stuff. Leave some comments. Let me know how you feel about it. And yeah, see you on the road. Take care.